We are Netherbolt, and welcome back to the VR tutorial. In this chapter, we will be talking about the XR Ray interactors. In the last video, we used the XR Direct Interactor and Grab interactable components to make our controllers grab onto objects. We also tested out some of the functions of the components. In this chapter, we'll be making the XR-Ray interactor work with the Grab interactable objects. We will also be looking into the XR-Ray interactor component and create a simple UI that will work with the XR-Ray interactor. Before we get started, I have made a few changes to the controllers to make it more manageable. I moved the components responsible for the direct interactor to an empty child of the controller. We can now add the XR Ray interactor. Just right click on the controller, go to XR, and click on the XR Ray interactor. We can now remove some of the components that is already in our controller. Now let's do the same to the right controller. We can see here that the XR-Ray interactor also have the interaction manager and the interaction layer mask. Let's create a new layer that will let us ignore the ray. We also have this option right here, which enables the interaction with the user interface. And then we have the force grab that lets us grab the object from afar and move it to our hands. The anchor control lets us move the object farther or closer to our hands. We also have the attach transform, the interactor filters, and also the audio, haptic, and interactor events. And we have this component right here which renders the line of our ray. We also have the XR interactor line visual, which lets us edit the ray that will be shown. When we play the scene, we can see that there is a line that shoots out of our controllers. This is the XR Ray interactor. It also changes when it hovers on an interactable object. When we use the grab button of our controllers, it will automatically snap to our controllers. This is because of the force grab function of the components. We can also use the anchor control to determine how close or how far the object is from our hands. Now, let's make the ray look nicer than the default one. We can edit the width of the ray. We can also change the valid, invalid, and black color of the ray. For valid, let's make it more transparent and change the color to blue. For the invalid, we just stick to red and change the opacity to more transparent. We can also adjust the length of our ray. There's also an option that adjusts the line length automatically. This is a cool feature that lets the ray become shorter when it is not hovered to any object. Here we can see the changes that we made to our ray interactor. Now let's create a simple UI that is interactable with the XR Ray Interactor. The first thing we need to do is create a UI canvas of the XR Interaction Toolkit. The reason for this is because the render mode is already set to wordspace, which is needed for the UI to work with VR. Now let's adjust the width and the height to make it more smaller. Now we add an image to our UI. This acts as the base of our interface. Let's scale it down because it's too big. And let's position it in front of the table. Once that's done, we can now add something that will let us interact with the UI. For this example, we'll be using the slider. After the adjustments, we can now test it out.